Welcome to the Bullets broadcast. My name's Tracy Malone, and today I'm joined by Bodie Webb. Today's podcast is proudly supported by the team at the Basketball Fix. For all your needs in terms of articles, Supercoach advice, game review and previews, and podcasts about everything happening in the NBL, everything in the world of the NBL, head to the Basketball Fix. I'm sure the link is going to be in the comments. As I said, my name's Tracy, and I'm joined today by Bodie, who's 13 and a massive Bullets fan. And where do you play basketball, Bodie?
I play for the Hoop Stars. They're based around the Carina area, and we play teams like Brian Curlsales, Belmont, and Bayside, and teams like that.
Beautiful. Well, I created this podcast. I love having you on today because a part of this podcast isn't just talking about the Bullets, but it's really about creating community. And I felt that I was lacking that feeling of really getting to know Bullets fans. So I love the opportunity to talk about the Bullets and also the opportunity to meet other Bullets members. So I'm going to be looking for you at the next game, Bodie, and we're going to start meeting some really great people. So first of all, on the podcast, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to talk about our last two games because we've had two games in 1 week. So what did you think of our game first up against Perth?
I thought it was a pretty good start. We definitely played how we wanted to. And then Perth, I kind of figured us out in the second quarter and then just started cruising to a dominant win in the end. We definitely had a fight back in the third quarter. We're playing very good, cut it down to 11, and then we just made one sloppy turnover on a fast break, and that's really just what gave it up for us.
Yeah, and I've checked out the stats. So 85, 112 was our final score. And what's really interesting that our shot percentages were the same. So our field goal percentage, the same as Perth. So we were at 47%. Perth was at 48%. However, they took 18 more shots than us. So they had 18 extra turns at trying to get points, which I think is a really big thing to look at. We actually beat them in 2-point percentage. We're at 55, they're at 49. Our 3-point percentage, they beat us. But the thing that I looked at as well is we had 20 turnovers and they got 32 points from turnovers.
Yeah, that's not a great thing to be proud of. Well, you shouldn't be proud of just making a turnover anyways. But yeah, 20 turnovers is just way too much. You could tell. I think the commentators said Perth only had one turnover at halftime or something like that, something very small.
So they had 6 turnovers for the game and we got 6 points from their turnovers. So we basically, if you look at everything that happened, we really handed them 32 points. And that's kind of about what they beat us by. And so that came off turnovers. And you might think, because we have a short rotation, that those turnovers would have come from the bench or something. Prather had 8 turnovers, Norton had 4 turnovers, Cook had 3 turnovers, White had 3 turnovers. So, there's 3 of our starters with a few turnovers. So it's an area that I'm really going to be looking for the Bullets to make some changes on.
Yeah, I reckon we just got to play I think we're playing at a very fast pace, which can be good in games, but I feel like we're playing a bit too fast. If we have a fast break, we don't really just slow down. We kind of just go with the flow and just try to make the best play possible. I feel like it's probably best to just play a slower game, let the game become. I reckon we just got to keep feeding Prather. Despite him giving up 8 turnovers, which is not great, I reckon let the game come to Prather, but be slow and be strategic and follow the game plan.
Yeah, he had 8 turnovers, but he also had 32 points. And Cotton had 36. It's like we look at Cotton and we go, wow, 36 points. Isn't he amazing? We're like, and Prather got 32. So I feel like we're right up there. And I don't feel like the scores that we're getting are really a reflection of our team at the moment. And that's the bit that's so frustrating as a Bullets fan.
Yeah.
Who did you think? So is Prather your favourite player?
Between Prather and White.
Nice. Well, White did well. He had that great game against Adelaide, and then he's come home to Brizzy, and I haven't seen from him what we saw in Adelaide. So I'm hoping he is really able to step up again and start hitting some of those shots.
Yeah, I think I've got to give him more minutes. I think I might be wrong. I don't think he gets as much minutes as I feel like he deserves. I feel like, well, we definitely bruised from no Rocco, no Tyrell Harrison. So we're definitely bruised by that, and we need someone who's big. Bannon is big, but he's not a centre. He's not even close to it. Tohi Milner isn't really a centre. He's more of a power forward. And so, yeah, I feel like let's play small, put Bannon at centre and bring Isaac White into the starting lineup.
Oh, that's your call, hey? That's great. And so you would think because I agree with you. So watching the game, I totally agree. It's like we really miss Harrison, and it must be the reason, like it must be rebounds or something. We must be out rebounded. They must be getting ahead of us. But then I look at the stats and I'm like, well, isn't that interesting? Because we out rebounded Perth. So Perth had 37 rebounds. We had 39 rebounds. We had 30 defensive rebounds and 9 offensive rebounds, and they had 22 defensive and 15 offensive. So we're able to get up against these teams that when we don't have our two biggest men, and we're still able to match the rebound count. So for me, I'm like, they obviously have an impact, and I love them dearly, and I want the 5-man back in really quickly, please. But why we're out rebounding them, so we can't use the 5-man not being there as a reason for the game, for us not winning that game. So that's really interesting. So let's go quickly now. Let's jump across to Cairns and let's see if there was any big difference, because we lost by about the same amount of points, didn't we? So last night not last night, whatever night this airs, 80, and Cairns were 111. How did you see that game?
Definitely not what I expected. I thought it would be a very close game. I thought Schuler really would have got into the boys, told them to stop turnovers, stop being like dumb with the ball, try to execute the game plan more, because you could obviously tell we didn't do a game plan. We didn't follow it against Perth or Cairns. I thought we just kind of just free balling, street balling or whatever.
Yep. You didn't see it there. What was your favourite part about the game? What do you think they did well?
I reckon we made a comeback against Cairns. It was the same thing like against Perth. We came back, we're down by 11, and then we made a fast break turnover, and then we just went downhill again. But I feel like we're getting better at coming back like the start of the season, but you obviously don't want to be down and then coming back in a game.
Yeah. And so we took more shots than Cairns in that game. Can you believe it? So their field goal percentage was 59%. Our field goal percentage was 36%. So it's not like we're not giving ourselves the opportunity to win, because we took 73 shots. They took 69 shots. So we had more shots than them in the game. It was just that we weren't able to get the good old ball in the hoop. And it was the 3-point line that really let us down. Well, both really. We were 36 from the 2 points and 38 from 2-point and 34% from 3-point. And Cairns was 62 for 2s and 55% for 3. So it really is just a massive difference. But turnovers again. So we had 14 turnovers and they had 19 points from our turnovers. They had 5 and we got 7 points from turnovers. So it's really, I'm seeing the same thing over and over again. So it's interesting that the same things keep popping up. Now we out rebounded them again. So we were without our 2 big 5 men and we out rebounded them. We got 47 rebounds and they got 32 rebounds. So what do you think about that? What do you think's really going on if we are out rebounding them without our big men and they're still outscoring us?
Just next man up mentality. I reckon Schuler's definitely, it might sound a bit weird, but trained us to rebound better. But I feel like we have the players that are very good rebounders. Josh Coonan was getting quite a few rebounds, and he's only played like one game this season. So, yeah, I reckon next man up mentality is really what's helping us get all the rebounds.
Yeah. And on Josh Coonan, so he came in for a couple of minutes against Perth and he looked completely lost. And then 2 nights later, or however many days it was, he comes back in against Cairns and he looked amazing. So we had no answer for Groves, number 22, their big 5-man. He was actually scoring quite a few points. So even though we rebounded them, he was the one doing the most damage to us. In comes Coonan, and I was like, well, this will be interesting. I hope he really steps in this time. And he did. He really did. He actually stopped Groves, had some great stops, and really got his body on the players, and he wasn't scared. And I loved that. That was like, even though we lost the game, I was like, you got to take those things, and you got to hope we can keep building on them as a team. Yeah.
I feel like I feel like we dominated on the offensive rebounds as well.
Yeah, we did. We got 20 offensive rebounds and 27 defensive rebounds. So, and that's what I saw. But so what I saw from the game, so sitting from where I'm sitting, in my job, I'm what's called a somatic trauma coach. So I read bodies a lot and look at what's going on inside bodies from a different kind of level to structure. But I kind of saw the Bullets come out. They start the game well, which is great. They're not lagging. They're showing up to the game and they show up. And they're in their bodies and they're ready to go. And they run great offense. They've got good off-the-ball movement. And then they start taking some shots and those shots don't go in. And then their bodies still show up to do the shots, but it's like their mind has switched. And their mind has gone, I'm not sure I can do this. I'm not sure I believe in myself anymore. So their effort is there, the body's still there and it's showing up, but those shots, and they look beautiful as they leave their hand. It's like, oh no, bugger, we've missed again. And that seems to be a thing that's replaying. What have you noticed about them as our coaching importance?
I feel like one of my coaches said, if you miss, get right back on defense, you'll get the next chance to make it. And if you don't have the chance to shoot, find someone else to have their chance to shoot. So yeah. I reckon don't focus on getting yourself the shot, get someone else the shot. But if you are wide open, take it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I would love. What I would really love to see is that real use of timeouts. And I want someone to tell this team continually, guys, you play basketball for a living. There are 100 people who would take your job right now, probably more. Like, you have been chosen for this team in this position because you're good enough. Keep shooting, shooters shoot, and especially Keandre Cook. I want that man to keep shooting because he was putting up great numbers when Bateman was still in, but Bateman got injured, and it's like Cook isn't showing up as much as he used to.
Yeah, I reckon, I don't think they played with each other before the Bullets, but I feel like they probably just, I don't know why, but have just a great chemistry between each other.
Yeah, they have played together before. They know each other from playing in different countries together. Yeah, and so that's why they kind of, I think they signed one first and then they talked well about the other and said, get him over too. So that's why we got Cook and Bateman. And the Bullets have had their eyes on them for a little while, especially Bateman. And so he was a massive loss. But we've got to find our identity without him. It really is. What I'm not seeing as much of is that next man up mentality. Like, when our great shooters go down, it's like, oh, who's going to shoot? It's like, guys, you can all shoot. You can all shoot. And shooters shoot. Keandre Cook, shooters shoot. That's your job. So keep shooting and they will go in because we're getting them up. We just need to click that percentage over. And let's talk about the big elephant in the room, which is the injuries for the Bullets. Like, what's going on there?
I think we have about 7 that are listed right now in the NBL app, but I don't know if Emmett Nah played last night. It said on the Bullets Facebook page that he was in, so
yeah, I think because he's an injury replacement. So we got the 2 injury replacements. So he was our first injury replacement for Sam McDaniels. And so that means he has to play a certain amount of games in case we get into the play-in. So I'm assuming he was there and he had to show that he was playing to actually have his name on the sheet because
It's
he didn't
actually
get
7 games. You have to play 7 games if you are well, actually no, just any player has to play 7 games to play playoffs. Otherwise, you're just not allowed.
Yeah, and so that's probably probably had something to do with that. And so we've still got who have we got out at the moment? I looked on the NBL website, and Rocco, it's to be confirmed whatever his injury is, and to be confirmed what is coming back. So we speculate that it's his knee, but do we even know what's going on there?
Yeah, well, on the Facebook, it's listed many times about his knee. I feel like it's either a growth injury, well, not an injury, but like just a growth thing because he's still very young, or it could be just Shula saying you're not giving us effort, and you can just be benched. Because you notice when Rocco gets on the floor, there's not much effort with him, especially on the defensive end.
You think so? So you think he's being told by the coach? I think it's probably an injury thing because I don't think we as the Bullets have the luxury of not playing someone at the moment. We'll take anybody we've got. So I'm going to go with an injury. But it's just interesting. My frustration as well is that we're not being told enough about that with the club. So we've got Nah, who we don't know if he'll suit up. We've got Adele's out, Harrison's out. And, the other thing to notice about the Cairns game is Prather, even though he put up 22 points, he looked like he was carrying a niggling injury. And so does Josh Adams. He looks like that ankle is not better. He's just gone, I'm an injury replacement. You're paying me money. Just do something to my ankle and get me out there because he's looked really off balance.
Yeah. I noticed when he played against Sydney a couple of weeks ago when we had to play them at Brisbane Entertainment Centre, he would, I don't know if it's just his normal shooting technique, but he would shoot a lot off to the side. And it didn't seem to really be working for him. I mean, it did sometimes, but not continually.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I reckon Prather, they said on when the game was being televised on KO, that he just copped the knock to the knee. But he looks to be all good.
Yeah, I hope so. Well, in the presser after the game, coach said we have to make a decision about Monday coming up against the Hawks, which we'll talk about in a little bit, because we've got bodies that are playing injured. So do we rest those bodies, leave them here in Brisbane to recover and bring them for New Zealand, or do we take them and risk further injury and let them play at the level they've been playing at? And he didn't mention names, but I'm going to assume that's Prather and Adams. So they're walking wounded a little bit at the moment. However, next man up. I don't see anything wrong with any of the players that are out there that they can't get the job done. They all absolutely, I have belief in every single one of them, and I wish they would have belief for themselves.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of Tristan Devers lately. He showed some pretty good talent out there, especially against Cairns last night in the garbage minutes. He hit like a 3-pointer with that was pretty contested. So he's definitely a future star. Yeah, Kai Savage, I think he's a shooter. I haven't seen much of him though. And I reckon Coonan just needs to stay out of foul trouble. If he wants to stay on the court, just don't foul. Well, be careful.
Yeah, it's a few of our big men were right up there in the foul count last night too, weren't they? So, all right. So I know you wanted to talk a little bit about our stadium. So we've moved this year from Nissan Arena out to Boondall Stadium. What do you think is the good, the bad, and the ugly about our move?
So I'm not a big fan of Brisbane Entertainment Centre. I mean, I live a lot far away from Boondall, about 40-minute drive. And going there on like a weekday after school was not great. We'd come right home, get our jersey, and then go right away before the traffic. I like how it's bigger for a bigger crowd. Against Sydney, we had like 7,000. But I still prefer Nissan Arena. I reckon it had a better atmosphere. I reckon some of the entertainment was better. I feel like they were more involved with the crowd.
Yeah,
There was a lot more noisier.
Yeah, we're just a bit closer at Nissan. So I've got the same membership that I had in the Platinum, but I'm like way further back, and I feel less engaged with the court than I was at Nissan. At Nissan, I just felt like I was sitting on top of the court almost. It felt great.
Yeah.
And so that's my disappointment there. But I really want to celebrate the fact that, you know, if memberships are growing and there's more people coming to games, then it's kind of one of the things that you have to do, because I want the Bullets to thrive. So for me, it's the same drive really for me either way. North side's a little bit easier because I don't have to get through the city on a weeknight. That's always a trick. If it's a Wednesday, Thursday night, Friday night even game, it's like, oh God, I've got to get through that city traffic. So, and I know it's a massive debate in our supporters groups as well, where people have the big fight over north side versus south side. But we need to remember that we're all there for one reason, and hopefully the new owners are going to build us a new stadium that's a lot more central, so we'll all end up in that one place.
Yeah, I reckon they need to get more involved with the crowd. You've noticed since we've dropped like a couple games, we've really like just given a distance between us and the Bullets team. We were very close in 2023, despite not making the finals. We were very close. I mean, Nissan Arena was a great atmosphere. You could tell the players were getting pumped up. And I loved how you could like actually get the signatures of the players. I know now at Brisbane Entertainment Centre, if you're like same as me, I'm also in the Platinum area. You can't really go down to get the signatures because they don't come that close at all.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There's a lot of disconnect. There's a lot of disconnect at this new centre for the teams, and that's not always the Bullets' fault. So I know security is there, but they're not really making it accessible. So at Nissan, the kids would all line up right on the sidelines, and the players would always come out and sign, and they're just not doing that at all at this new place. And so instead of, with the move, I understand the move, but I feel like we're getting, as members and fans, we're getting further away from the team instead of closer. So I feel more disconnected to the Bullets team than I ever have before. So the whole change of front office that happened 2 seasons ago, I am not celebrating it because I haven't seen a positive change. I've actually felt like I've got more distance, not more connection. And so that's a real shame. But let's talk about it now. What I want to jump to is our new coach that also came on 2 seasons ago. And he told us that he was building a defensive team. He told us that Brisbane deserved to get to the finals, and we were such an interesting, interesting fan base, because there was still numbers even when your team's losing and not going well. And Brisbane deserves to be in the finals. And we were going to be the all defensive team. We were going to be really, really full on defense. So do you know the team who has the most points scored against them so far this season?
Cairns?
No, that would be the Bullets. 2,326 points have been scored against us this season. So I'm asking, where is this defensive powerhouse? Because every player was hired on the defensive talents, and I know they've got it. I know they've got it. And so it's really about digging in and getting that done. Sam McDaniel's amazing at it. We know that. But one player does not make a defensive team.
Yeah. I reckon we got some good defenders. We got Nordo. We got McDaniel. Tyrell Harrison's shown some defense in some games. Same as Prather. But I don't feel like we're communicating a lot on defense. I mean, obviously you can't hear word for word when you're in the stands, but from what you normally, players are like screaming out or switch, there's a screen and all that. So I reckon we just got to communicate more. But yeah, we've definitely got the defensive team.
Yeah, we need to lift our defense much more than we have been. And so if I told you that our home game record, so because the other thing that we were told is that we were going to lock down home court, had to be the sanctuary. What was it that Bano called it at the start of the season?
let's make Brisbane Entertainment Centre a fortress.
Yeah, the Fortress, we've played 13 home games. We've had 6 wins and 7 losses at home. We've played 11 away games and we've had 4 wins and 7 losses. So we've not. It's not a fortress. That does not a fortress build. Yeah, we've had
Perth. Yeah, if you look at Perth, they're winning like every single game at RSC Arena.
And
if you look at Melbourne United, yeah, and you look at Melbourne United, they're winning most of the time at John Cain Arena, same as Sydney. Yeah, I reckon Bullets, if they get closer to the fans, as we were talking about, they're kind of disconnecting from the fans. If they get closer to the fans, I reckon that's how we'll establish home ground advantage.
Yeah. Do you reckon a little bit more connection? And Johnny and Adam do such a great job. It's the same team that has been the hype team for so many years, and it wouldn't be the same without them. And I love everything that they do, but it just feels like it's actually from the team and the fans. There's just a disconnect. And what was really interesting, so in the presser, the last night's press conference after the game, Ariana Prather asked the question of the coach. She said it didn't feel like the spark was there in the team. What's that like for you? And coach disagreed. And he said, no, I think they played their guts out. I think I got everything out of that team. And he was like, it's really interesting that everyone's seeing it differently. So I'm wondering, it's like, are we seeing something that he can't see? If he's not able to see it, then how can he coach it and change it? Did you see it last night? Do you think they gave it everything last night?
Not on the defensive end. Probably not on the offensive end, but defense was worrying. In the past 2 games, they've gone up like 220 plus points. So it's not a thing to be proud of. I mean, you look at Tasmania, they're giving up like 80 points a game. And if you're lucky, you'll get 90 on them. So, yeah, I reckon if I was Schuler, I'd be saying, all right, if we don't play defense, we can't win a game.
Yeah. Yeah. And how do you inspire defense out of a team, I wonder? But that's the coach's job, isn't it? That's what they're paid the big dollars for. And so I sit in between. So it's like, I'm not saying that they're not putting the effort in. I just don't think they've got the belief. I think they've got the intent, but they drop it and they don't have the belief that they can really do this. Because I think belief runs the effort. So their bodies are kind of doing it, but the belief just doesn't seem to be there. And so, again, I just want somebody to remind them of who they are and that they're actually professional athletes. And, of course, they can do this. And, when we weren't playing many games, the excuse for our losing back when we're not playing many games was that we don't have enough games that we're playing. And now we've got more games, and now they're like, well, it's very hard on the bodies to have this many games close together. And, yes, we have less bodies. But it's a really tricky one. So from there, we'll lead into our upcoming games. Now on Monday, we are coming up against the Illawarra Hawks at home. What are your predictions for that game, and what do you think?
Is that game at home?
No, at their home. We're going into their
I don't really want to be a negative person, but it's another loss just waiting. I mean, if you see Illawarra, how they play, they're very talkative to each other. They've got a great chemistry. Their crowd definitely helps them in games. But if I was Schuler, I'd be looking at what Cairns did when they beat Illawarra. Despite Illawarra having a bad game, look what Cairns did and execute what Cairns did.
Yeah. And so did Illawarra have a bad game, or did Cairns force Illawarra into having a bad game and influence that?
Good question. I reckon it's probably that maybe Cairns forced him into having a bad game, but not that I don't love Cairns. I mean, I'm not a great supporter of them, but I feel like their defense is not great. I mean, they proved us wrong last night, but their defense isn't really that good. I mean, giving up 105 points against Illawarra. I mean, despite Illawarra being top scoring team, 105 points is pushing the limit.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I have a feeling that anything can happen in this league. So I'm like, it's the NBL. Anything can happen. And this ain't no cupcake league, says Corey Homicide Williams, the late great. And so I do believe anything is possible. And we have walked into Melbourne and we have beat them on their home floor. You know, we've got that one thing going for us this season. So I think anything's possible. Will we? I'm not sure. Only if they turn up and believe they can. So for me, it's a real belief thing. Are they going to do it? How many bodies are we going to have? If we're going to take seven players down there, probably not. If we're going to take 8 players, probably not. Who's going to sit? The other thing that coach said the other night was that Josh Adams has not had a training session with the Bullets yet since he landed. So there's a lot of things that really need to come together for our team. And I can't see how without having that, we will not have another training session before Monday's game. I can't see how they can make any great change, but I will hold the belief, even if I can't see it in their eyes.
Well, I don't really. Oh, sorry. I don't really love the injury replacement thing. I know about Emmett Nah. He was a great pickup. Josh Adams can show us that he can score, but I just don't really like it. I feel like if someone on your team gets injured, you got to figure out how to win without him. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So what do you think? How do you think we're going to go against New Zealand later this week?
Well, we definitely shut down Taco a couple weeks ago now. I think he only had 6 points. So Sam Menungo proved pretty good against Tasmania. He had a pretty good game for the first time in a while. Not calling him bad, but he's just been in a pretty big slump. I don't think he's getting as much opportunity as he did in Cairns. But yeah, I reckon stop Parker Jackson Cartwright. Just be really physical with him. And double team Taco.
Yeah. So Parker Jackson Cartwright is back and he has got a point to prove and he has been proving it as to how good he is in the league. So again, we're going to fly home from Wollongong and come back to Brisbane and then fly over to New Zealand. So for me in this game, I need to know what the roster is. With the team we had last night, without one of our big 7-footers, I would really struggle to see how we're going to calm the beast that is Taco Fall. So I want to hold the belief for that one, but I'm not even quite holding the belief for that one because we've got to go into New Zealand and do it over there. And so it depends on how many bodies we can get there and how everyone's going to be playing. And that is one, when you're going up against somebody who's 7'4", that's when who's on your team really does matter. And if we don't have one of our 5 men there, one of our 7-footers, can't see it getting done.
Yeah, like you definitely don't want Norden guarding him. I mean, Norden's a good defender, but Taco could literally just hold the ball up and then just tease them. So, we definitely need Tyrell back.
Yeah, absolutely no contest. So we'll wait and see what our wonderful, beloved Bullets bring. But thanks for joining us today on this Brisbane Bullets podcast. And
thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're absolutely welcome. It's so good, Bodie, to have you on. And I'm sure we'll talk to you again sometime about our wonderful Bullets. What do you want to say to the Bullets before you go? As we wrap up the podcast, if you could say anything to the team right now, what would it be?
Execute the game plan, and defend.
All right. Final words from Bodie. Thanks for joining us on the Bullets podcast. We'll see you again next time.
Thank you for having me.